The Karate Kid is the story of Daniel, a violent sociopath who moves to a California town and begins tormenting a local boy and his friends.
He is not the Karate Kid! The Karate Kid was William Zabka, star pupil of the Cobra Kai dojo.
The students in Karate Kid represent the bullies. Each one has their own reason why. These issues within the movie go on today.
What are you looking at, butthead?
Perhaps you missed the sign.
No bullying, no yodeling.
Fool it with the nerd shit, huh?
I don't want to fight you, Flash.
I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
God, Karen, you are so stupid.
What the hell is this?
Maybe you got rid of that old yee-yee ass haircut you got.
I'm gonna kick your butt.
You can.
Getting bullied sucks. But you know what also sucks? Movies about bullying. It's kind of funny how movies that say making fun of others is wrong end up becoming the butt of the joke by everyone. And when these edgy after-school specials aren't cringy or unrealistic, they're flat out harmful. If you're gonna make a show about bullying where the characters are resorted to these lifeless roles of victim or bully or mental illness representative, you've already screwed up. It may not seem like a big deal, but upon realizing that bullying isn't just a school epidemic, but rather something that happens to everyone in everyday life, regardless of their age, it's apparent that dealing with bullies is a skill everybody has to learn. And if the media we consume is feeding us toxic methods of facing our giants, then we're doing ourselves no favors by treating this as an exception, because it is possible to make a show with a mature take on bullying that still manages to be entertaining, and they have made one. Every person has reasons for what they do. Even if not justified, people don't just bully on instinct. It's a cruel world out there, one that makes bullies as often as victims of bullying. Cobra Kai teaches us that the bully is often born out of a life of hardship.
And I come home and pretty much get bullied every day.
We see it through the eyes of our main character Johnny, and even later through his sensei Kreese. They themselves were consistently bullied and abused in their lives, both in and outside of home, making them easy targets. However, in certain cases, some kids enter a fight or flight mentality when they're forced to act through a survival mindset.
My stepdad, he's...
Let me tell you something. The moment those tears leave your eyes, you lose.
With no safe space in their lives, no place to go to for a feeling of security, people like Johnny develop an offensive mindset to hide any sign of vulnerability they have.
Just want to talk. Feels better, right?
This mentality is manifested through the Cobra Kai mantra,
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir!
which can teach assertiveness.
It will also make you an asshole.
I think...
My back!
Tori is a threatening example of what can happen when you apply this mentality to an extreme where all ends justify the means. When you're living on survival instincts, other people aren't necessarily always seen as people. Sometimes they're obstacles.
The rest of us, we have to fight for every inch of what's ours.
Characters like Tori have hit rock bottom, so when they engage in personal conflict with someone, they attack with full force because they have nothing to lose.
Nothing can hurt me anymore.
But what about the people who have nothing to gain? One of the standouts about Cobra Kai is how it also tackles the modern forms of bullying, including cyberbullying.
Oh my God. What a bunch of P-words. Back in my day, if you wanted to tease someone, you did it to their face.
Characters like Kyler and Yasmin at the start of Season 1 may bully because they think it's funny or as a way to flex their popularity, but ultimately, they're bullies because they know they can get away with it.
Because that's what bullying is about. What can I get away with? How can I entertain myself by getting away with things that I should not be allowed to get away with?
To these types of bullies, many parents encourage their kids to fight back, and that'll get them to leave you alone. But what if it turns out they're stronger than you? The results could make the situation worse once they're guaranteed there's nothing you can do to stop them. The best thing to do is act smart, lower your risks, and train yourself to be more resilient. Are they bigger than you? Exercise more and change your diet. Are they more popular than you? Join a club, surround yourself with friends. Are they harassing you online? Lower your risks by pushing yourself away from social media for a while. Are they smarter and quippier than you? Then, I don't know, read more books, watch a YouTube video on psychology, I guess. There's always a way to sharpen your skills. But unfortunately, most people will take the wide road and instead bully those weaker than them.
You're insecure. You're insecure. You're insecure.
Bullying others creates more bullies. To quote my middle school principal, every time someone tries to push you down, they're pulling themselves up. And that's because at the end of the day, many average everyday bullies do what they do because of insecurity.
Stan has a small wiener.
In Cobra Kai, we see this through the character of Eli.
It's Hawk.
Or Hawk. We see him as this badass character, but if you really stop to think about it, he's actually one of the most pathetic characters up until his redemption in Season 3. He picks on the weak and punches down to hide the fact that he used to be a nerd. Even the most renowned meme on this channel is merely just Hawk desperately trying to separate himself from the person he is deep down. A small detail in Cobra Kai I love is that whenever we get a glimpse of who Eli really is as a person, his mohawk is cropped out of the shot. But the second he goes back to displaying his alter ego, Hawk, the camera cuts back to a full medium. People who act out of shame eventually become desperate, and the lengths they'll go to hide their true selves becomes dangerous.
It's like because I hate myself so much, I gotta point that hate outward towards you.
Some may say that Hawk is putting Dimitri in his place for acting weird, but the reality is that Hawk does not represent the social establishment.
I'm the guy
who wets the bed and got kicked into that trophy case.
He's just as much of an outcast as Dimitri because everyone's so afraid of him. In most schools, bullying happens as a social experience. People shun other people if they express things like poor hygiene, uncanny facial expressions, words.
It's not that easy to get human beings to turn on each other.
Turn on her!
The reason for this is not because we're awful, but because we're social learning creatures. And when we're young, bullying is an easy way to enforce normal social behaviors to people who don't pick up on these habits early on. In Cobra Kai, we're introduced to this mindset through Sean when Robbie is sent to juvie. Jail is an unforgiving place where awful things happen to inmates every day. But like school or any institution, it is a place built on rules and personal conduct. Failure to follow it results in getting your ass beat. Sean represents the system, and those who don't get it are met with retaliation. Robbie is on the receiving end of this until he fights back and shows his prison savvy by refusing to rat Sean out. And while Robbie does earn Sean's respect because of this, realistically, he is left alone because Robbie proves himself to be a threat if provoked. Establishing yourself as a threat is an easy way to victory, but for anyone who's ever dealt with personal conflict with someone else where you felt belittled, manipulated, or even abused, huffing your nostrils or punching them in the face doesn't always work.
This is the real world. You don't just throw people around.
Ow! In situations like this, the righteous bully often rises to the top. The righteous bully isn't necessarily religious fanatics who yell shame to gay people when walking down the street. These are people who fundamentally believe they have a better understanding of the world than anyone else, and it is their duty to correct all those who think otherwise. And while we see many forms of this bully in Cobra Kai, even in Daniel during certain points of his character arc, none represent this mindset better than Kreese. Sensei John Kreese was mainly a meathead in the first Karate Kid, but his losses in the first few movies have made him more cunning in Cobra Kai. He's not only gotten more tactical with his approaches, but he's convinced himself that the world must adopt his belief at all costs. The most dangerous people you will meet are the ones who believe they know better than everyone. If anyone sees themselves taking the moral high ground, they act with a license to do anything to teach the other side a lesson because it is seen as the greater good.
Shut it!
The reason why Daniel teaches humility and meditation is because self-reflection and the ability to recognize you can be wrong is one of the most helpful ways to reach an understanding in conflict. But without the confidence and strength we learn from Johnny, we give others no reason to take us seriously, which is why the balance of Johnny and Daniel's methods are what the kids in the show need to face these bullies. But Cobra Kai is more than just balance. Heck, The Karate Kid is more than just balance. It's a story about friends, the bonds we make with others during hardship. It's about reaching out to those who are struggling and finding peace through guidance and later through kinship. The relationship between a master and student can be as powerful as a father and son. All it takes to change someone's life is by making the choice to reach out when they have no one else to go to. To those who feel like life is painful and not worth living, remember that there is always hope. Because even though the world is often cruel, all of us are capable of finding a family in it. This is what I learned from watching Cobra Kai, and I look forward to seeing what it has to offer in Season 4.